Thank you for your patience.
Hvala za vaše potrpljenje.
And the solution to yesterday's problem became the problem today.
Tisto, kar smo rešili včeraj, torej rešitev je za nas danes težava.
But that person isn't here to fix it.
Ampak tisti, ki je rešil včeraj, ni tukaj, da bi našo težavo rešili.
What we'd like to do today is talk about Jesus Christ in the book of Revelation.
Danes bi rad pregovoril o Jezusu Kristusu v knjigi Razodetja.
The book of Revelation was written on the island of Patmos.
Knjiga je bila napisana na otoku Patmosu.
And so during our presentations today, we will have a little tour of the island of Patmos from time to time.
Danes, ko bomo govorili o tej knjigi, bomo imeli tudi nekakšen opis, tudi tam se bomo vrnili na Patmos.
Many people think that Patmos was a prison for John.
Mnogi mislijo, da je Patmos bil pravzaprav zapor za Janeza.
But it doesn't look like much of a prison.
Ampak ni videti tako.
If that is a prison, I would like to be sent there.
Če bi bil to zapor, bi bil jaz rad poslan v ta zapor.
It's one of the most beautiful places on earth.
To je eden najlepših krajev na svetu.
This is the highest point on the island, about 300 meters.
Tu je približno 3300 metrov višine in to je najvišja točka na otoku.
And it's so beautiful how the blue of the water and the blue of the sky are different, but equally nice.
Čudovito je, da gledate morje, ki je ene modre barve, nebo ki je druge barve, ampak je enako lepista.
And they have beautiful tropical vegetation.
Njihova vegetacija je tropska, čudovita.
Our theme today is Jesus Christ in the book of Revelation.
Torej, naša tema je danes Jezus Kristus v Razodetju.
The very first words of the text are the revelation of Jesus Christ.
Knjiga se začne z besedami Razodetje Jezusa Kristusa.
It's not the revelation of Middle Eastern oil.
To ni razodetje ali pa odkritje nekakšnega naftnega vira.
It's not the revelation of Babylon.
To ni razodetje Babilona.
It's the revelation of Jesus Christ.
Ampak razodetje Jezusa Kristusa.
And that means that if you cannot see a clearer picture of Jesus,
To pa pomeni, da če ne morete videti jasnejše slike Jezusa,
you haven't understood the book.
niste dobro razumeli knjige.
So a true understanding of Revelation will bring light on the role of Jesus Christ.
Pomeni, da pravo razumevanje knjige pravzaprav prinese videnje oziroma boljšo sliko Jezusa Kristusa.
Now, an important principle for studying the book of Revelation is that it brings together all the other books of the Bible.
Pomembno načelo pri razumevanju knjige Razodetja je, da tam zbira vse knjige Svetega pisma.
In the book Acts of the Apostles, we are told, in the book of Revelation, all the other books of the Bible meet and end.
V knjigi Dejanja apostolov je pravi, da v Razodetju vse druge knjige pravzaprav se dobijo.
So, Revelation gives us a picture of Jesus Christ.
Torej, nam Razodetje daje podobo Jezusa Kristusa.
And that picture is grounded in the other 65 books of the Bible.
Ta pa je utemeljena na drugih preostalih 65 knjigah Svetega pisma.
So when we see the book of Revelation as the climax of the other books of the Bible, we will see Jesus.
Tako, ko vidimo, da je Razodetje pravzaprav višek oziroma konec vseh svetopisanskih knjig, bomo videli tudi Jezusa.
And my goal in today's presentations is to show how that works.
Moj cilj danes je pokazati vam, kako to deluje.
There are 5 major themes that scholars of Revelation have tied to Jesus Christ.
Teologi, ki so se ukvarjali z Razodetjem, so našli 5 različnih poimenovanj Jezusa.
First of all, Jesus is the heavenly Son of Man.
Prvič, on je nebeški sin človekov.
Perhaps you'd like to translate these texts.
Lahko ga preberemo. Razodetja 1.13. Pravi tako. In sredi med svečniki nekoga, ki je bil podoben sinu človekovemu. Oblečen je bil v halji, letal in prevezan čez prsi z zlatim pasom.
And so here we see a picture of Jesus and he's called the Son of Man.
Tukaj imamo podobo Jezusa Kristusa in je imenovan Sin človekov.
This is also the case in Revelation 14:14.
Enako je v Razgledu 14:14. Beremo. Pogledal sem in prikazal se je bel oblak in na oblaku je sedel nekdo, ki je bil podoben Sinu človekovemu. Na glavi je nosil zlat venec, v roki pa oster srp.
The term Son of Man comes from the book of Daniel, particularly Daniel 7.
Ta izraz Sin človekov najdemo v Danielovi knjigi, še zlasti v 7. poglavju.
In Daniel, the Son of Man is a glorious heavenly figure who is by the throne of God.
Za Daniela je Sin človekov sijajna oseba, ki je ob Božjem prestolu.
But here we see a glorious Jesus Christ in the book of Revelation.
Tukaj torej vidimo poveličanega Jezusa Kristusa v Razgledu.
His face is shining like the sun.
Njegov obraz je podoben soncu.
His feet are like burnished brass.
Njegove noge so pravzaprav kot medenina.
His voice is like a great waterfall.
Glas njegov zveni kakor zlan.
So this is a different picture than the Jesus the disciples knew.
To je drugačna podoba Jezusa od tiste, ki so jo imeli učenci.
You see, if we didn't have the book of Revelation, we wouldn't have the glorious picture of Jesus that we see here.
Če ne bi imeli knjige Razgledja, potem ne bi poznali te sijajne podobe Jezusa, ki imamo v Razgledu.
See, here was God's problem.
Bog je imel težavo.
God wanted to communicate to the human race what he was like.
Bog je torej hotel povedati ljudem, pokazati ljudem, kakšen je.
The best way to do that was to become a human being.
Najboljši način za to je bil, da bi postal človek.
But here's the problem.
Ampak težava je bila v tem,
When you become a human being, people won't think you're God.
Ko postaneš človek, ljudje ne bodo mislili, da si Bog.
Because you're just a human being.
Zato, ker si človek.
So the very vehicle to bring a revelation of God brings doubt that this is really from God.
In ravno sredstvo, ki je razodetje Boga, prinaša tudi dvom.
Imagine the scene.
Zamislite si to sceno.
Jesus and his disciples are walking on a dusty road.
Jezus in učenci hodijo po prašni poti.
It was an extremely hot and sunny day.
Zelo vroče je sončen dan.
They've been traveling for about 15 kilometers.
Hodili so kakšnih 15 kilometrov.
And somebody is walking right next to Jesus.
Nekdo je ravno zdaj ob Jezusu, ko hodita.
And he is thinking, I wonder if Jesus could be God.
In misli pri sebi, sprašujem se, ali je možno, da je Jezus Bog.
But then Jesus raises his arms.
Potem Jezus dvigne roke.
And there comes the smell from all of that exercise.
In Jezus dvigne roke in ta učenec zavoha, pač posledica je tu.
Do you still think you're walking next to God?
Ali še vedno mislili, da ste tik ob Bogu?
You see my point?
Razumete se, o čem govorim?
The earthly Jesus was the revelation of God.
Pozemski Jezus je bil razodetje Boga.
But it also created doubt as to whether this really was God.
Ampak ravno to dejstvo je povzročilo tudi dvom, ali je temu tako.
And many people who knew Jesus did not believe that he was God.
Mnogi ljudje, ki so ga poznali, niso verjeli, da je Bog.
The book of Revelation opens up a much bigger picture of Jesus.
Torej, razodetje daje širšo sliko Jezusa, dosti širšo sliko.
This man who walked on this earth,
Ta človek, ki je hodil po zemlji,
who became hungry,
ki je postal lačen,
who became tired,
utrujen,
who needed a shower now and then.
ki se je moral spoširati tu in tam.
This man sits at the right hand of the throne of heaven.
Ta človek sedi na Božji desnici v nebesih.
And this is a very important picture for us.
To je za nas zelo pomembna podoba.
There's a second picture of Jesus that we get from the book of Revelation.
Je še ena, ki jo dobimo v razodetju.
And that is the many-sided Jesus.
To je mnogostranski Jezus.
Jesus shows himself in a variety of ways in the book of Revelation.
Jezus se je pokazal v knjigi razodetja na veliko načinov.
Now let's read the text. of this glorious picture of Jesus.
Poglejmo to čudovito sliko slave o Jezusu. Razdelite 1:13 do 15. Do 16. In sredi med svečniki nekoga, ki je bil podoben sinu človekovemu. Oblečen je bil v kalju do tal in povezan s pasom čez prsi zlatim pasom. Njegova glava in lasje so bili beli kakor bela volna, kakor sneg. Njegove oči so bile kakor ogenj plamen. Ognjen plamen. Noge je bil kakor v peči razbeljen bron. Glas pa kakor glas mnogih voda. V desnici je držal 7 zvezd in iz ust mu je segal oster gornji meč. Njegovo obličje pa je bilo kakor sonce, kadar žari vse svoje moči.
I want you to notice the items that are in blue on the screen.
Rad bi, da posebej zapazimo tiste zadeve, ki so povabljene modro.
Jesus is walking in the middle of the lampstands.
Jezus se sprehaja med svečniki.
His eyes are like a flame of fire.
Njegove oči žarijo kakor ogenj.
His feet are like polished brass.
Noge so kakor razbeljen bron.
He has 7 stars in his hand.
V roki ima 7 zvezd.
He has a sharp two-edged sword coming out of his mouth.
In iz ust mu prihaja oster dvojezni meč.
In this picture of Jesus, there are a number of interesting details.
V tej podobi Jezusa je veliko različnih detajlov, zanimivih.
But here's the interesting point.
Zanimivo pa je to.
Right after this scene,
Ravno po tej sceni
Jesus gives messages to the 7 churches.
Jezus poda poročila 7 cerkvam.
And he introduces himself to each of the 7 churches.
In vsaki od teh cerkv se predstavi.
But here's the fascinating point.
Osupljivo pa je tole.
None of the churches gets the full picture of Jesus.
Niti ena od teh cerkv ne dobi na ta način polne podobe.
Each of the churches gets some of the characteristics of Jesus.
Vsaka cerkev dobi neko od teh karakteristik.
To the first church, he introduces himself as the one who holds the 7 stars and stands among the lampstands.
Prvi cerkev se predstavi kot tisti, ki drži v roki zvezde in je med svečniki.
To the second church, he introduces himself from also chapter 1 as the first and the last, and the one who died and came to life.
Drugi cerkev se predstavi kot prvi in poslednji in tisti, ki je umrl in oživel.
To the third church, he introduces himself as the one who has the sharp, double-edged sword coming out of his mouth.
Tretji cerkev se predstavi kot tisti, ki ima oster meč, ki prihaja iz ust.
Now here's what I want you to notice in this.
Rad bi, da tukaj zapazite.
All of these characteristics, except one perhaps, come from chapter 1.
Da vse te značilnosti, razen ene morda, prihajajo iz prvega poglavja.
But each church gets only part of the picture.
Vendar vsaka cerkev dobi samo del podobe.
He presents himself to each church in a unique way.
Vsaki cerkvi se predstavi na poseben način.
In other words, no 2 churches get the same picture.
Torej, dve cerkvi ne dobita enake podobe.
He is sensitive to each of the churches and their unique needs.
Zato, ker je Jezus občutljiv na potrebe vsake posamezne cerkve.
In other words, Jesus meets each church where they are.
Torej, lahko rečemo, da Jezus sreča cerkev ravno na področju, kjer je.
Now this to me is very encouraging.
Meni to vliva pogum.
He says over and over again, I know your works.
Vedno znova pravi, poznam tvoja dela.
Jesus knows everything there is to know about us.
Jezus pozna vse o nas.
Have you ever been afraid to confess your sins to someone?
Ali ste bili kdaj v strahu, če ste morali komu priznati svoj greh?
It is embarrassing.
Neprijetno je.
You're afraid that they will treat you differently if you tell them that.
Bojite se, da če poveste resnico, da vas bodo obravnavali drugače.
But there's nothing to worry about with Jesus.
Ampak pri Jezusu se ni treba bati ničesar.
He already knows everything there is to know about you.
On že itak ve vse, kar je vedeti o vas.
He's not going to change his mind if you confess your sins.
In si ne bo premislil na noben način, če boš priznal svoj greh.
So we can be open and honest with him.
Tako smo z njim lahko popolnoma odprti.
There's no need to hide ourselves from him.
Ni potrebno, da bi se pred njim skrivali.
And because he knows all about us,
In ker ve vse o nas,
he comes to us just the way we need.
prihaja k nam ravno na način, ki je nam potreben.
When he comes to you, it is with your unique personality in mind.
Ko prihaja k tebi, ima v mislih tvojo posebno osebnost.
He respects that no two people here are the same.
On spoštuje dejstvo, da nihče od nas, katerakoli dva bi izbrali, nista ista.
Just like the churches, we are all different.
Kakor cerkve, tudi mi smo različni.
And Jesus meets us where we are.
In Jezus nas sreča na našem področju.
You know, sometimes we wish everybody in the church were exactly the same.
Včasih si želimo, da bi vsi v cerkvi bili enaki.
Everybody should do the same things, eat the same things, and think the same things.
Vsi bi morali biti enaki, jesti enako in tudi delati enako.
But that's not the picture that Jesus shows in the book of Revelation.
Ampak to ni podoba, ki jo daje Jezus tukaj v Razodetju.
Jesus is able to adjust to the different characters and qualities of the churches.
Jezus je zmožen se prilagoditi značaju in okoliščinam posamezne cerkve.
But here's what I think is the most important lesson for
Ampak
us.
zame je najpomembnejša lekcija tole.
None of us has the full picture of Jesus.
Nihče od nas nima popolne podobe o Jezusu.
That means we all should be learners.
To pomeni, da bi vsi morali se učiti
And it means we all can learn from each other.
in da se vsi lahko učimo tudi drug od drugega.
Who do you learn the most from?
Od koga se največ naučite?
Someone you agree with or someone you disagree with?
Od tistega, s katerim se strinjate, ali od tistega, s katerim se ne strinjate?
I don't learn much from people who agree with me
Ne, jaz se ne naučim veliko od tistih, ki se z mano strinjajo,
because we already agree.
ker se že strinjamo.
We're already thinking the same things.
Že itak mislimo iste stvari.
It's people who disagree with me that can teach me something.
Tisti, ki se z mano ne strinjajo, me lahko česa naučijo.
But those are often the people we don't want to listen to.
Ampak ravno to so tisti ljudje, katerih ne bi poslušali.
So Jesus suggests that we all need to learn from each other.
Jezus nam tukaj predlaga, da bi se vsi morali od drugega učiti.
And I think every time I do a seminar like this,
Mislim, da kadarkoli imam tak seminar,
I learn from the people who are there.
se učim od ljudi, ki so navzoči.
Even if no one speaks to me.
Tudi, če nihče ne spregovori.
Sometimes I will say something and somebody goes, aha.
Ko kdaj rečem kaj, nekateri rečejo, se
I'll
strinjajo.
say, maybe that's an idea I should work on some more. It's good.
Potem mislim, ja, morda je to zamisel, na katero bom moral še delati.
Sometimes I say something
Včasih rečem kaj
and people go,
in ljudje se nam mrščijo.
I say, I wonder what the problem is with that.
In jaz se sprašujem, kaj je tukaj problematičnega.
And so we're all teaching each other even when we don't speak.
Torej, lahko drugega učimo, tudi če ne pregovorimo.
We are giving response and we are learning.
Odzovemo se in se učimo.
The beautiful thing about it is that Jesus loves each church the way they are.
Čudovito je pri tem, da Jezus vsako cerkev ljubi takšno, kot je.
Some of these churches are more faithful than others.
Nekatere so bolj zveste kot druge,
But even the unfaithful churches still have Jesus coming to them.
ampak tudi k nezvestim cerkvam je Jezus prišel.
He loves them, he cares about them,
Ljubi jih in skrbi zanje.
and he meets them where they are.
In jih sreča tam, kjer so.
Don't ever believe that Jesus has given up on you.
Nikoli ne pomislite, da je Jezus dvignil roke od vas.
Jesus never gives up on anyone.
Tega nikoli ne naredi.
The only problem is if we give up on him.
Edini problem je, če mi se obrnemo od njega proč.
If we say no and no and no, he cannot come in.
Če mu rečemo, odgovarjamo z ne in ne, vedno ne, potem ne more stopiti noter.
If he's knocking and we don't open the door, that's our problem.
Če trka in mu ne odpremo, je to naša težava.
But Jesus does not abandon any of the churches, even the difficult ones.
Ampak Jezus ne zapusti cerkve, niti tiste, ki je težavna.
A third picture of Jesus in the book of Revelation is the Lamb upon the throne.
Tretja slika v Razodetju, tretja slika o Jezusu, je jagnje na prestolu.
Let's look at a couple texts here as well.
Poglejmo tudi tukaj nekaj besedil.
Revelation 5, verses 6 to 13.
V 5. poglavju od 6 do 13. Tedaj sem videl, na sredi med prestolom in 4 živimi bitji ter starešinami je stalo jagnje, kakor zaklano, in imelo je 7 rogov in 7 oči. To je 7 božjih duhov, poslanih po vsej zemlji. Jagnje je stopilo naprej in vzelo knjigo iz desnice sedečega na prestolu. In ko je vzelo knjigo, je 4 živih bitij in 24 starešin padlo pred jagnje. Vsak je imel harfo in zlate čaše, napolnjene z dišavami, ki so molitve svetih. In peli so novo pesem. Vredno si, da vzameš knjigo in odtrgaš njene pečate, ker si bilo zaklano in si svojo krvjo odkupilo Bogu ljudi iz vsakega rodu, jezika, ljudstva in naroda, ter si jih napravilo našemu Bogu za kraljestvo in duhovnike. In kraljevali bodo na zemlji. Med videnjem sem vse naokrog prestola in živih bitij ter starešin slišal glas mnogih angelov. Njih število je bilo 10.000 krat 10.000 in 1000 krat 1000. Z močnim glasom so govorili, vredno je jagnje, ki je bilo zaklano, da prejme oblast in bogatstvo, modrost in moč, čast, slavo in hvalo. In vse stvari, ki so na nebu, na zemlji, pod zemljo in na morju in sploh vse, kar je v njih, sem slišal, kako so govorile. Sedečemu na prestolu in jagnjetu, hvala in čast, slava in mogočnost na veke v veke.
So here we see an interesting contradiction.
Tukaj vidimo zdaj zanimivo nasprotje.
The throne is a place of power.
Prestol je kraj moči,
It's a place of authority.
avtoritete.
It is the right to tell other people what to do.
Pravica, da se drugim pove, kaj naj naredijo.
We usually associate the throne with powerful people who bend others to their will.
Navadno mislimo o prestolu kot o kraju, kjer sedijo ljudje, ki druge oblikujejo tako, kot se njim zdi.
But God is not like that.
Ampak Bog ni takšen.
The picture of God that we receive here is a lamb upon the throne.
Podoba Boga, ki jo vidimo tukaj, je jagnje na prestolu.
But not just any lamb.
Ne kakršnokoli jagnje.
This is the lamb that was slaughtered.
Jagnje, ki je bilo zaklano.
It is a self-sacrificing lamb.
To je samopožrtvovalno jagnje.
The power of God is exercised in sacrifice.
Božja oblast se kaže v žrtvi samega sebe, požrtvovalnosti.
This makes the rule of God different from earthly rulers.
To pomeni, da je Božja vladavina drugačna od posvetnih vladavin.
Because God rules through self-sacrificing love.
Zato, ker Bog vlada s tem, da kaže ljubezen, ki se žrtvuje.
Notice a pattern in chapters 4 and 5 of Revelation.
Poglejmo vzorec, ki ga najdemo v 4. in 5. poglavju Razodetja.
There are 5 hymns in these chapters.
Tam je 5 pesem v teh poglavjih.
In verse 8 of chapter 4, there's a hymn to God the Father.
V 8. vrsti 4. poglavja je pesem Očetu.
In chapter 4, verse 11, there's another hymn to God the Father.
V 11. vrsti je druga pesem Očetu.
Then in chapter 5, verses 9 and 10, there's a hymn sung to the Lamb.
V 5. poglavju v omenjenih vrstah je pesem Jagnjetu.
In verse 12 of chapter 5, there's a second hymn sung
Potem
to
v
the Lamb.
12. vrsti druga pesem Jagnjetu.
But then the final hymn of the 5 is in verses 13 and 14, where the praise goes to both the Lamb and the Father.
Zadnja od 5 pesem pravzaprav je pesem, ki se nanaša tako na Očeta kot na Jagnje.
In this scene, there's a tremendous crescendo.
V tej sceni je en crescendo, mogočen.
The first hymn is sung by the 4 living creatures.
Prvo pesem poje 4 živih bitij. Pojejo 4 živa bitja, ja.
Characters around the throne.
To so tisti, ki so okoli prestola.
The second hymn is sung by the 24 elders.
Drugo pesem poje 24 starešin.
The third hymn in chapter 5 now is sung by the 4 living creatures and the 24 elders together.
Tretjo pojejo 4 bitja in 24 starešin skupaj.
Do you notice the choir is getting bigger and bigger?
Ali vidite, da zbor postaja večji?
The fourth hymn is sung by 10,000 times 10,000 and thousands of thousands.
Četrto pesem poje 10 krat tisoč in 1000 krat 1000.
The volume gets louder and louder.
Pesem je vse glasnejša in glasnejša.
The fifth hymn is sung by every creature in heaven, earth, or under the earth.
Peto pesem poje vsako bitje v nebesih in na zemlji.
The entire universe is praising God.
Celotno vesolje slavi Boga.
The beautiful thing about it is that the Lamb is on the throne.
Zanimivo oziroma čudovito je, da je jagnje na prestolu.
The Lamb is on the God side of this equation.
Tukaj je jagnje na Božji strani enačbe.
Every creature in the universe is on one side, and God and the Lamb are on the other side.
Vsa bitja v vesolju so na eni strani, na drugi strani pa Bog in jagnje.
So what this is telling us is that man that walked with us on this earth,
To nam pove, da je človek, ki je hodil med nami,
that man who was rejected by human beings,
tisti, ki so ga ljudje zavrnili,
that man who was crucified on a cross,
človek, ki so ga pribili na križ,
was bearing the very character of God.
je pravzaprav celotna podoba Boga.
And the character of God is made of self-sacrificing love.
Njegovega značaja in to je ljubezen, ki se žrtvuje.
So this series of hymns tells us that God who sits on the throne has the character of sacrifice.
Ta niz pesmi nam pokaže, da Bog, ki sedi na prestolu, ima značaj, ki se žrtvuje.
Well, God has all power in heaven and earth.
Ampak Bog ima vso oblast v nebesih in na zemlji.
He does not exercise that power by force.
On jo pa vendar ne uporablja silo.
Instead, he invites people to respond to him in the way that he has acted toward them.
Pravzaprav vabi ljudi, da se odzovejo na tak način, kot ga ima on.
Jesus is fully equal with God,
Jezus je popolnoma enak Bogu,
as we see from being on the throne side of the equation.
To vidimo iz tega, da je on na tej strani enačbe, kjer je prestol.
But this is also a major theme throughout the rest of the book as well.
Ampak to isto temo najdemo v drugih poglavjih razodetja.
In chapter 1, verse 8, God the Father is called the Alpha and the Omega.
V 8. vrsti prvega poglavja Bog Oče je imenovan Alfa in Omega.
In Revelation 1:17, Jesus is called the first and the last.
V razreditju 1.17 je Jezus imenovan prvi in poslednji.
In Revelation 21:6, God is called the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end.
V razreditju 21.6 je Bog imenovan Alfa in Omega, prvi in poslednji.
But notice in the very last one, Revelation 22:13,
V zadnjem poglavju pa, v 13. vrsti,
Jesus Christ is the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last, the beginning and the end.
je Kristus Alfa in Omega, prvi in poslednji, začetek in konec.
In other words, every name that you would say to God, you can also say to Jesus.
Torej, kakorkoli boste imenovali Očeta, lahko to isto ime daste Jezusu.
Jesus is the full representation of what God is like.
Jezus je popolnoma preslika tistega, kar je Bog.
He is the slain lamb,
On je zaklano jagnje,
the lamb that was slaughtered.
jagnje, ki je bilo ubito.
That is the one who sits on the throne.
To je tisti, ki sedi na prestolu.
There's a tremendous parallel here
Tukaj je čudovita usporednica pravzaprav.
of power and glory on the one hand,
O moči in slavi na eni strani
and a willingness to love and sacrifice on the other.
in pripravljenosti na žrtev in ljubezen na drugi.
That is what God is like.
Takšen je Bog.
And so we overcome
Mi premagujemo,
when we take up the same spirit that God has bestowed toward us.
ko prevzamemo isti duh, ki nam ga je Bog dal.
Revelation 12 and verse 11.
V 12. poglavju 11. vrsti,
You may read that one.
bomo brali, 12. poglavje 11. vrsta. Toda oni so ga premagali zaradi krvi jagnjeta in zaradi besede svojega pričevanja, saj niso ljubili svojega življenja vse do smrti.
You notice all the characteristics in this text are characteristics of Jesus.
Ali vidite, da so vse značilnosti tukaj, pravzaprav Jezusove značilnosti?
Jesus is the one who sacrificed his blood.
Jezus je daroval svojo kri.
Jesus gave his testimony of what God is like.
On je dal svoje pričevanje o tem, kakšen je Bog.
Jesus did not love his life so much as to avoid death.
Jezus ni ljubil svojega življenja tako, da bi se izognil smrti.
And this is the level of commitment that he invites us to.
In on nas vabi, da bi bili mi njemu na enak način vdani,
To become like him.
da bi postali podobni njemu.
A fourth picture of Jesus in the book of Revelation is striking by comparison.
Četrta slika, ki jo najdemo o Jezusu v razodetju, je res pusti vtis.
It's called the wrath of the Lamb.
Zato, ker se imenuje jeza jagnjetova.
Have you ever seen an angry lamb?
Ali ste kdaj videli jagnje, ki je jezno?
It seems like a strange thing to put together.
Zelo nenavadno je, da se ti dve stvari postavita skupaj.
Lambs are not usually very angry creatures.
Jagnjeta pravzaprav niso jezna bitja.
And yet that is clearly a picture that is given in Revelation.
In vendar je to podoba, ki nam jo razodetje daje.
In Revelation 6:16 and 17 it talks about the wrath of the Lamb.
V 6. poglavju, 16. in 17. vrsta govorita ravno o tem.
And the great day of his wrath has come.
Pravi, da je prišel dan njegove velike jeze.
Revelation 14 verses 9 to 11.
14. vrsta, 14. poglavje od 9 do 11. Za njima je prišel še tretji angel in govoril z močnim glasom: če kdo moli zver in njeno podobo in sprejme na čelo ali na roko žig, bo tudi sam pil od vina Božjega srda, namešanega v čaši njegove jeze. Z ognjem in žveplom bo mučen v pričo svetih angelov in v pričo jagnjeta.
Here we see one of the most frightful
Sorry,
scenes.
just one.
Go ahead.
One more. Dim od njegovega mučenja se bo vzdigoval na veke vekov, ne po dnevi, ne po noči, ne bo diha za tiste, ki molijo zver in njeno podobo ter sprejmejo žig z njenim imenom.
Here we see one of the most frightful scenes in all the Bible.
Ena najstrašnejših scen, ki jih riše svetopismo sploh.
It is the final judgment of the wicked.
To je končna obsodba za grešne.
And it speaks there of a severe punishment and even of torment.
Tukaj beremo o težki kazni, celo o mučenju.
This text bothers a lot of people.
Mnoge ljudi to besedilo pravzaprav muči.
You see, there's a lot of
Predstavljam
violence.
težavo.
There's a lot of violence in the Old Testament.
V Stari zavezi je veliko nasilja
And people say, well, that's in the Old Testament.
in ljudje potem rečejo, ja, to je Stara zaveza.
But now that Jesus has come,
Ampak zdaj je prišel Jezus
we have a different picture of God.
in imamo drugačno podobo o Bogu.
But here you have a scene as frightening as any scene in the Old Testament.
Ampak tu imate sceno, ki je enako strašna kot vsaka podobna v Stari zavezi.
And who is in charge?
In kdo je tukaj glavni?
The Lamb.
Jagnje.
This is a stunning picture.
To je stvar, zaradi katere osupnemo.
What it is telling us is that the self-sacrificing one has been placed in charge of the judgment.
To pomeni, da je tisti, ki se je žrtvoval prostovoljno, da je on sodnik.
God will intervene to bring an end to evil.
Bog bo posegel vmes, da bi končal zlo.
Now, what is the place of government?
Kaj je pri oblasti?
Some people have said that the only reason for government to exist is the use of just violence.
Mnogi pravijo, da je edini razlog, da bi oblast sploh obstajala, je, da dela pravično nasilje.
In other words, government exercises violence to keep order in the society.
Torej silo vlada vzdržuje red.
And you say, well, we don't see a lot of that violence here today.
Mi pa rečemo, ne, veliko takega nasilja ne vidimo.
Well, let us suppose you are driving too fast.
Pa si zamislimo, da prehitro vozite.
And a car comes along.
In pride nek avtomobil
And do you have red lights here?
in vidite potem rdeče blue
Lights. Okay, it's red lights in California.
V Kaliforniji bi videli rdeče, tukaj vidite modre luči.
Now, why do you stop?
Zakaj se ustavite?
and he gives you a ticket, wants money, why do you pay?
In on hoče od vas denar, zakaj mu plačate?
Because you know what will happen if you don't.
Zato, ker veste, kaj se bo zgodilo, če ne bi.
You see, you might end up in prison.
Lahko končate v zaporu.
Is that violence?
Ali je to nasilje?
Well, it is if you don't want to be there.
Je, če nočete biti tam.
And how many of you would pay taxes if they were voluntary?
Koliko vas bi plačalo davke, če bi to delali prostovoljno?
You see, government keeps a certain order in the world.
Vlada torej vzdržuje nek red v družbi.
And when there is evil and rebellion, violence is necessary to restrain it.
Če se pojavi zlo, kriminal, potem oblast pač uveljavlja silo.
And the greater the evil, the greater the violence needed to restrain it.
Večje je zlo, več nasilja je potrebnega, da ga zajezi.
Adolf Hitler did many evil things.
Adolf Hitler je storil mnogo slabega.
And if the British and the Americans had said to him, you need to stop these things.
In če so Britanci, Američani, če bi mu povedali, veš, to moraš se ustaviti.
And maybe he felt ashamed and says, okay, I'll stop.
Morda bi se sramoval in bi rekel, pa bom se ustavil.
That didn't happen, did it?
To se ni zgodilo.
And it took a tremendous amount of violence to restrain a tremendous amount of evil.
Bilo je potrebno ogromno sile, da bi se ustavilo ogromno zlo, ki ga je počel.
At the end of time, God will bring evil to an end.
Na koncu bo Bog ustavil zlo.
A certain amount of violence will be necessary.
Zato bo potrebna določena sila.
But there's a beautiful thing in this picture.
Vendar je tukaj čudovita slika.
God gives over that violence to the Lamb.
Bog daje to nasilje pravzaprav v roke jagnjetu.
The self-sacrificing Lamb.
Jagnje, ki je pripravljeno na žrtev.
The merciful, gracious, kind Lamb.
Ljubeznivo, prijazno, milostljivo jagnje.
God gives over the judgment to one who is a human being.
Bog daje izroči sodbo tistemu, ki je človek.
To one who understands how hard the human experience is.
Tistemu, ki razume, kako težka človeška izkušnja.
To someone who will not exercise one bit more violence than necessary.
Tistemu, ki ne bo uveljavil nič več nasilja, kot je to nujno.
In other words, evil will be brought to an end in the most merciful and kind way possible.
Z drugimi besedami, zlo bo ustavljeno na najbolj milostljivi način, ki je možen.
Because the Lamb is in charge of the judgment.
Ker ga bo v roki imelo jagnje.
There's one final picture of Christ in the book of Revelation.
Še zadnja podoba Kristusa v razodetju.
He is the rider on the white horse.
On je jezdec na belem konju.
He is the one who comes again.
To je tisti, ki ponovno prihaja.
And here we see in Revelation 19 verses 11 and 21, Revelation's picture of that coming.
Tukaj vidimo pravzaprav podobo, ki nam jo razodetje riše o tem prihodu.
He is the one who judges and makes war.
Tu je tisti, ki sodi in se vojskuje.
He comes leading the armies of heaven.
On prihaja kot vodja nebeških čet.
These pictures of a powerful Jesus are very striking in comparison with his earthly appearance.
Ta podoba, ki jo vidimo tukaj, tu je drugačen Jezus, zelo drugačen Jezus od tistega, ki smo ga vajeni, ko je hodil po zemlji.
He is the messianic warrior in the book of Revelation.
V razodetju je Jezus mesijanski vojščak.
He's not just a lamb, he is also a mighty soldier.
On ni samo jagnje, ampak mogočen vojak.
Why don't you read the text?
Prebrali bomo this one, or the other one?
Revelation 5:5.
Prebrali bomo razodetje 5:5. Tedaj mi je rekel eden izmed starešin, ne jokaj, glej, zmagajo lev iz Judovega rodu, Davidova korenina, da bi odprl knjigo in njenih 7 pečatov.
Jesus is the son of David.
Jezus je Davidov sin.
And just as David was a conqueror at the end of time, Jesus is also a conqueror.
In kakor je bil David zmagovalec oziroma
In Revelation 22:16,
premagovalec, bo to na koncu časa Jezus.
in Revelation 22:16, he is the descendant of David.
Tukaj imenovan v razredu 22 Davidov potomec,
But he's also the root of David.
ampak tudi korenina
That's an
Davidova.
interesting comparison.
Zelo zanimiva primerjava.
He's both the root and the descendant,
In korenina in potomec,
because he was there before there was a David.
ker je bil pred Davidom,
And yet, as a human being, he came in the line of David.
vendar kot človek je prišel v Davidovi dinastiji.
And he comes as David was intended by God to be.
In je prišel kot tak David, kakršen bi David moral biti.
There is a universal picture of his warrior capability.
To je vesoljna podoba o njegovi mogočnosti oziroma moči kot vojščaka.
Revelation 12, verses 7 to 9.
To je Razodetje 12, 7 do 9. Na to se je v nebesih razvnela vojna. Mihael in njegovi angeli so se bojevali proti zmaju. Tudi zmaj se je bojeval in njegovi angeli, toda ni zmagal, tako da v nebesih ni bilo več prostora zanje. Veliki zmaj, stara kača, ki se imenuje Hudič in Satan in ki zapeljuje vesoljni svet, je bil vržen na zemljo, z njim vred pa so bili vrženi tudi njegovi angeli.
So here we see this picture of Jesus conquering everything that needs to be conquered.
Tu je podoba Jezusa, ki premaga vse, kar je za premagati.
So these 5 pictures of Jesus are the tremendous center of the book of Revelation.
Teh 5 podob Jezusa je čudovito središče Razodetja.
We often put our mind upon the earthly powers in this book.
Velikokrat se naše misli ukvarjajo s pozemskimi močmi, ki jih najdemo v besedilu.
We're interested in the history.
Zanimamo se za zgodovino.
We're interested in how human powers react to each other.
Zanima nas, kako ravnajo druga z drugo pozemske moči.
But that is not the primary intent of the book of Revelation.
Ampak to ni poglavitni razlog za pojavitev knjige.
Rather, the book of Revelation points us to the glorious heavenly Jesus.
Ampak nas knjiga usmerja na oslavljenega Jezusa Kristusa.
He comes to us in self-sacrificing love.
On prihaja k nam v ljubezni, ki je pripravljena na žrtev.
He comes to us in a sensitive way, just how we need him.
Prihaja občutljiv, tako kot ga potrebujemo.
At the same time, he is not a powerless holy man,
Istočasno on ni brez moči.
but he has the power to make things right in this world.
Svetnik je, ki ima moč, da naredi prav vse stvari.
If Jesus is not the angry lamb,
Če Jezus ni jezno jagnje,
there will never be justice in this world.
če ne bi bil, potem ne bi bilo pravičnosti nikoli na tem
But
svetu.
Revelation gives us the promise that Jesus will make things right at the end.
Ampak Razodetje nam obljublja, da bo Jezus vse stvari popravil na koncu.
Is there any question on this presentation?
Ali je kakšno vprašanje, ki bi ga imeli glede tega, kar smo rekli? It was very clear.
If there is not, then why don't we take a 10-minute break, and we have saved 6 minutes of our lost time.
Da, pa vzemimo si zdaj 10 minut pauze, da bi 6 minut, ki smo ga izgubili prej, nekako nadoknadili.